That's amazing.
Yeah. Hi,
Yeah.
nice to meet you. Thanks for letting me come in and trusting Suze, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. We met at the CD Baby conference as well.
I remember. Yeah, at first I didn't put the, on the Instagram, like you're this big.
I know, right? I know, right?
So I didn't like put it together, but I'm really happy to do this. So I would have wanted to do it anyway. So I'm psyched to be here. So
for sure. Thanks for
Can you hear me okay?
This. Yeah, perfect.
Cool. I have my whole like podcast set up, so I don't have the headphones in, but it's all calibrated.
Awesome. We'll get set up. Wait for some more people to join in. Hello, Vinny.
Hi, Vinny.
Hello. Can you see me and hear me now?
Yep.
Yes, and I can read you. It says relax.
Cool.
I take that.
Yeah, it's a good reminder for myself.
Yeah. No, it's good.
Yeah, I've been seeing on the Zoom thing, I've been seeing Zoom just increasing their traffic so heavily.
Oh, yeah.
The support call, like before, would be like maybe one in line. The other day was 600 in the support call line.
I mean, a lot of schools are going to Zoom calls. Like thousands and thousands of people are now doing lessons online on Zoom, and Zoom has the best capacity to like have multiple people, and I think the default for Zoom is to have the background music and sounds like buses and things like that be muted, so you can actually change the settings so that someone can play music and you can hear it. So it's way better than Skype. There's a lot of audio options that are like deep hidden in the advanced settings, which is allowing a lot of teachers to do music lessons and other lessons, and I think a lot of people are doing that.
For sure. Yeah, I was on a live and brought somebody in, and it was just this girl that was Zoom just hanging out with her friends, like 7 of them. And they're like 17 or something. And I was like, you guys know what Zoom is? Like, I thought this was for business. They were just using it just to hang out with each other. It was just wild to see this.
Yeah, the branding's open enough that I think it's going to be possibly the most popular multi-web chat platform, other than maybe, I think Google's got their own version, and obviously Skype, but I can't imagine that anybody's able to compete with them on a scale level.
For sure.
Yeah, and I just had our brunch that I have a book club brunch that we do once a month, and like we just did it on Zoom, literally an hour.
Yeah, I always kind of knew that the WALL-E. Did you guys ever see the movie WALL-E?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, right. So that day where everybody's in floating chairs and living through a screen, I thought that was going to take a long time of de-evolution for us to get there, but it appears that we just found our catalyst. Everybody's going to living through the internet and living virtual lives. It just happened a lot sooner than I expected,
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, let me make sure that everything's sent out okay right here, and then I'll just jump right in.
Yeah.
But thank you both for, all right, cool. That did send out. Let me share this guy. You see that okay?
Yep. I can see your whole screen though.
What's that? You can see the whole screen?
Yeah.
Sweet. That's okay. All right. Well, welcome you guys to day 1 of the Music Industry Chats Entertainment Lockdown Edition. Welcome. How you guys doing? Feeling good?
Great.
Great.
Doing well.
Cool. Well, yeah, I think this day was mainly, we want to kind of talk about the facts, maybe see where we're all at. I know I believe we're all in different locations. And we also just want to get some tips on how to survive this isolation. We talked just briefly just now about Zoom and about digital brunches and digital webinars and things like that. But what are some other, maybe some self-care tips on, maybe Cheryl, like what you're telling your clients, and Vinny, what you're telling your clients to kind of do to kind of not go insane during this time.
Yeah.
So what I'll do real quick is I'll just introduce you both. Then we'll kind of jump into some questions and kind of see where the conversation leads us. Okay.
Awesome.
Sweet. Well, first I've got Cheryl here. Cheryl Engelhardt, right? That's correct.
Great.
Amazing. Just a real quick background. She's got 4 records under her belt, 6 years of touring, and over 40 licenses. So you're definitely in the licensing game as a composer, it looks like. She now runs In the Key of Success, giving musicians resources for their careers. So thank you for joining us, Cheryl. I appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me.
No problem.
I actually just released my 5th album. So
Fifth?
that's
Man.
mildly outdated. Yeah, all the other ones were pop, but this new one was actually, ironically and timely, it's actually a meditation album that I composed in Greece. It's like a piano, ambient, new age, and it was like #1 on iTunes and Amazon, and like it's like the first album that I was like, I'll just see how this goes, that I wasn't like super obsessed about, and then it was
right.
well. So yeah, 5th
wow,
album.
Congrats.
Yeah, congrats. That's great.
Thanks. Yeah.
Were you not wildly obsessed with it because it was just like a new genre for you, or?
Well, I was invited to this an artist residency, and you had 2 weeks to like do a whole project. And I thought I was going to do a choral record, something that was outside of my pop genre. And I get there and they showed me the room that I was going to be working in. And it was like this stone, old, weird building with, this grand piano, and I played it, and the echo, the reverb was like amazing. I was like, oh, we're going to do a piano record. And so I just composed these little snippets. I reversed the audio and like edited at night and like hummed and did all this weird stuff. And just, it turned out to be, I have a whole battling anxiety journey as well. So I sort of brought that into what I wanted to create in these pieces. And it turned out that it's actually like working and doing what I wanted it to do, which is take people from a place of anxiety or sadness or some negative emotion through 6 minutes of ending up on a more positive note, literally.
That's great.
Yeah.
Literally, you said.
Literally, a positive note. Yeah.
That's great. Well, cool. Well, thank you for sharing with that.
Yeah.
And I've got Vinnie here. Vinnie is a co-owner of Artist Collective. He's head of booking. He's based out in Florida right now. He's also a performer. So he's definitely been hit with this, canceled many shows in the next couple weeks. Some are even dropping next year. We'll kind of dive into that too. Played over 2,000 shows. I think that's accurate. Is that accurate?
Yeah, man.
All right, cool. Around the world. And now he works as a consultant and a mentor here at Artist Collective. My good friend Vinnie, thank you for being here, my guy.
Thanks for the intro, man. Yeah, we've been best friends for about 10 years, and he used to manage me whenever I was doing my American Idol days, and I've created we've created quite the company and the live music career beyond that. So I'm kind of the living proof that Evan knows what the heck he's talking about. You know what I'm saying? So I owe a lot to Evan, and I'm happy to be here. It is a crazy time right now, and you're right. Cancellations are pretty much indefinite at this point. And I really think that that'll be a national trend soon. So the future is unsure, but that's what we're here to talk about. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I had to throw myself in here too. My name is AC
Ooh,
Evan, for those
nice
that it's new. Okay. I'm proud of it. I want to show it off. But I am your host today and for the rest of the week. I'm the founder of Artist Collective, and I act as a music mentor for artists that, want to refocus on their careers. So I'm going to start.
If you like that pop socket that was in that last frame, we got more of those coming in soon. Look at that sexy little pop socket right there.
Thank you. Well, cool. I want to pose. So for the rest of the week, I'm going to pose these 2 questions to just kind of like get the viewers and the listeners a good idea of where every panelist is at, locally, and like what they're dealing with and how it's impacted their career and their life. So I'm going to start with Cheryl. Just tell us where you're located, dive into a little bit more of like what you do on a day-to-day and how this pandemic has really affected your career and maybe your clients' careers.
Yeah. So I'm in New York. I'm about an hour and a half north of New York City. I used to live in Manhattan in Harlem for 12 years and then married a mountain guide. So we needed the woods and rocks. So I'm in the Hudson Valley. So I'm in my studio. I work from home normally. I have been since 2007 when I left the advertising jingle world to go tour with my band. So I've sort of always been freelance composer, writing for films and commercials, and also coming out with my pop records, touring when I could with my band. And the last sort of 4 years have been more focused on composing. I've been doing a lot of work with social justice choirs. I've been writing a musical. And I, like I said, I came out with my 5th album, which is more of a meditation kind of album, and working in different spaces, just creating music and also sharing my process. And I work with musicians, like you said, in the key of success. I specifically focus on communication, meaning how are you clear on what you want? Are you able to pitch that effectively? Are you able to communicate with your fans effectively? So I have a course on pitching. I have a course on email marketing. I think I'm the only musician in the music community that is completely dorky on email marketing. I've gotten certified as an email marketer through Digital Marketer, which is like one of the biggest marketing, places. But it's all about knowing what you want, being clear on what you want so that you can powerfully ask for whatever it is that you need. And I think musicians are super wonky about that, and just expecting people to sort of show up and know what to do. I have a lot of fans that didn't know how to work Spotify if they were on the free version. It's hard to find the follow button. So I actually like make videos for them and say, this is a game I'm playing. I'm trying to get 1,000 new subscribers, or, and I create what I want, milestones, and then I let my fans know about it. So for me, I've been working at home, and, I have clients that I do Zoom calls with. I go into the city once a week. In New York City, I have a female-based co-working space. It's also networking. It's wonderful. But other than that, not much has changed for me, except in how I respond to the rest of the world. Because, the rest of the world is spinning, and I'm like, I'll do my own thing, and I'm on my path. But now the world is like, er. And so my own path was sort of in relationship to the world spinning. And now that the world is operating at a completely different way, me still in my same space, this is my studio, I have like 3 pianos around here, like this is all the same for me, but I get that the rest of what other musicians are dealing with is really, really different. Like, especially those are gigging. I'm not gigging that much anymore. So I haven't had any canceled gigs, but I know that how do I create income? How can I create that fan connection when I've been relying on the live FaceTime, at a gig, at a concert, at a house concert? How can I do that? And I used to make 100% of my money through house concerts and ski resort gigs and places that pay you that you wouldn't think you should perform, but you should. Library, like I've had some crazy gigs that can make a tour definitely in the positive in terms of money. So I get the stress of that. So for me, the pandemic hasn't changed a lot other than how I'm reacting to a lot of people. I've also realized that I want to step up my community. So I have a monthly mastermind group called In the Key Elite, and I just decided to meet daily. So weekends are exclusively for self-care. Yesterday, for the first time in probably 2 decades, I had a no screen day. Like I did not turn my phone on. I didn't look at a TV, and I didn't open my computer for 24 hours. And I think the weekends are a good time to really rest and rejuvenate and do all the things that you have always wanted to do. And then in the weekdays, how can we keep cranking? So I've created the structure that every day, like the first day of Monday is a clear day. Maybe it's cleaning out a pile of this. Maybe it's ending a toxic relationship. It's clearing out space so that the next day, Tuesday, is create. It's all C's, by the way, because I'm a songwriter and I like alliteration. And so everyone just has to deal with that. And
your name's Cheryl, so it makes sense.
And my name is Cheryl. I didn't say that. It's the most obvious. I knew there was a reason I was on this call.
Exactly.
So yes, I've created this structure to how to get through the week and like have a reason to get out of bed and put a sweater on instead of stay in your pajamas. And I think that's the hardest thing that I first dealt with when I switched from having a day job in the ad industry jingle world to just working from home, is having some sort of structure and reason to do anything and what to do when there's a million things to do. So Monday's clear, Tuesday's create. So we're either creating videos for something or writing a song or editing that thing that we wanted to make. And maybe it's that painting that you've always wanted to do, but you've never had time because it's not like a money-making thing, but just create. Wednesdays collect, and I look at that as collecting research. So maybe looking up a new list of contacts to pitch eventually. Maybe it's venues that you want to play at once all this stuff blows over. Maybe it's music supervisors, and also collecting knowledge. So that course that you bought that you never did, like finish that. Maybe it's do a new course, like my email course, so that you can learn new ways of creating new income for yourself. So whatever that is, so collecting contacts, collecting knowledge. Wednesday is the collect day. Thursday is campaign day, which can mean a lot of different things, including actually set up a Facebook ad campaign, maybe to get people into your Spotify followers, or maybe to grow your Instagram so you can get that 10K where the swipe up, which is a total game changer in terms of marketing. Maybe you're actually sending an email campaign, which is a lot of, MailChimp and a bunch of Kajabi, they call it a campaign when you're about to send an email to your list. So maybe it's creating that, or maybe it's just pitching. Maybe they're like blogs and Spotify playlisters. Those are people that probably work from home anyway, and it's not a bad thing to pitch them in this time. So we do some outreach on Thursday, and then Fridays connect, like connecting to your super fans one-on-one. Someone that maybe I had a client someone in the Key Elite that connected to every single person that gave to their Kickstarter, their last record, and just checked in with them. It's a time to connect with your family, with your friends, just make those phone calls, do some FaceTiming so that you have the whole weekend to not have to manage other people's energy, and you can just be with yourself and rejuvenate over the weekend and then start again. We're doing the same format every week. We already did this one week. It's been awesome. Next week we're starting again with Clear. We're going to have different conversations around each of these days, but for me, I think structure is the biggest thing that helped me get to a work from home place where I was able to be productive and effective. And I think that might be the biggest hurdle for people that are used to being out there, whether at a job or on the road or something. So I just wanted to create that daily opportunity. So that's sort of how it's been looking for me. That was a very long answer to your
awesome. No, I love it. Please keep it long. I think this is cool. It's funny that you say that, because I think you're right. A lot of artists aren't really used to forcing that structure on, with the day job or whatnot. So I think this might be a cool opportunity for them to be like, hey, now they can actually, for a whole week, they're not doing anything else. So you can actually put these C's to work. So have you been seeing that it's been successful for a lot of your clients based on this?
Yeah, no, I love that you said, seeing, like the C. So now that I'm like totally onto the C. So we have about 30 musicians in right now, in the key.co/elite is where you can find out about it. But we had 30 musicians and we checked in on Friday, and pretty much everyone said, I would not have created this video. I would not have reached out to my fans. I would not have gotten out of bed this morning if it wasn't for this call. So we change the time every day, depending on like, okay, tomorrow's the create day, meaning let's get dolled up and make some videos, and who needs a testimonial for something? Like, let's record it here and I'll send you the video. Like we're really creating community. We're sharing stuff. And I think that just being in a conversation with humans that are not you is also just really positive in and of itself, which is why this morning I had a brunch with my book club. We decided to do a Zoom call just like this. So if you see me sipping this leftover wine, I poured another glass before I got on this. Come on. I just think it's good to connect with people as much as you can, because we're losing so much human interaction. There's all these studies that like how many hugs a day that you're supposed to get in order to like fill that love tank of like human connectivity. So I think the call is also filling that void, as well as the just being productive in a time when the rest of the world is lying in wait. We don't have to be.
Right. Absolutely. Love that. Thank you for your answer. Vinny, you, sir, where are you located? What's your day-to-day usually look like? And how has this impacted your own life and clients and some other people you work with?
I am a booking agent by day, as you know, and obviously a music consultant as well, and a performer. So 2 out of 3 of my business titles are basically on indefinite lockdown. Florida has a 30-day shutdown minimum for all bars and clubs. And then the restaurants are now not able to have dine-in service. They all have to be to go as well. Coming completely out of the blue, this whole ordeal is rocking local businesses, and anybody in the service industry is completely unemployed with no definite response for what the stimulus is going to be, what the next paycheck is going to be, if the industry is ever going to be the same is from a live perspective, and if these businesses will even be there when the smoke clears. It is, a lot of artists are turning, like myself, are turning to positive outreaches and fan connection. So as a booking agent, first and foremost, and like most agents, I am dealing with an onslaught of cancellations that fall into the realm of being able to be canceled without penalty because of the act of God clause. And so ethically, there's a dilemma of, do we keep the deposits to pay for this industry that has got no income coming in, or ethically, do we refund the deposits? That's a conversation for another time. But that's what the booking agent side of what I'm doing is purely damage control, and probably will be for the next week on and off, with no end in sight. And so not to be totally pessimistic, but on the booking agent side, that's what's happening. On the performer side, I've had to completely flip my mentality to thinking about diversifying my income into online streaming, online campaigns, recreating what my expertise was, which was a live performance, connecting with human beings in large numbers right in front of me so I could touch them, hug them, chat with them, drink with them, all that sort of action. That is gone. I have to figure out how to recreate that online and monetize it at the same time. And then as a music consultant, I have a feeling that that business is about to skyrocket because everybody is going to be scrambling as the national lockdowns start to roll in. As the national government and the CDC starts to legitimize enforcement of these rules, and they've already started doing it in California, Illinois, and Florida, forcibly closing businesses that thought that they could stay above this. The live music game is so unclear, but if I were a betting man, I would say it's 3 months till you can expect live music to be a priority or even an ability within local businesses' structure of finances. No budgets are going to be the same. So I'm preparing for a very new pandemic culture that is completely, or at least 80 to 90% internet-based, stream-based, connection-based, web chat-based, newsletter-based. So I'm flipping my whole business plan, preparing for a music industry that will never be the same. And I don't mean to be the doomsday prepper, but I'm seeing the trend nationally. I'm talking to people on international task forces. I have friends that and family members that are in the CIA. So they're nationally, globally, this is going to be a long haul. And so I'm prepping for that.
Yeah. So you actually are a doomsday prepper then?
In a way, I'm you already know, I've been showing you off my, some of my protection and what sort of preparation I have. But here's the reality. No matter what your opinion is about this situation, nobody that is alive right now has ever dealt with a pandemic of this scale, at the very least in national reaction. We have never seen a stock crash like that in our lifetime, in our parents' lifetime. We have never seen entertainment just go on complete lockdown. Why we're calling this entertainment lockdown? We've never seen entire news channels, movie productions, the world at large come to a screeching halt, with entertainment being the first people to have to pump the brakes. And just the pure fact that nobody has seen this before means that nobody knows what to expect. We're all kind of waiting on our laurels to see what the next announcements are. So I am focusing on that kind of that old homage of control what you can control, prepare for what you can, and then just be able to be content with everything else. So I'm in a place of where I'm protecting my family. I've got my food. I've got my 3 weeks of quarantine ready to go. And I'm not making any drastic moves for at least the next 48 hours because I have a very sincere gut feeling that at a national level, we're going to have new rules and implemented laws that mimic California, New York. All these shelter in place moves are going to happen at a national level. So I'm ready for that.
Right. Yeah. What exactly is the New York lockdown status right now? I'm not sure if I'm super familiar with what exactly is going on there.
Cuomo closed all, yesterday I had a no screen day, so I'm sort of trying to catch up.
You're right.
So totally check with me. But as far as I know, that it's pretty much all 100% of non-essential workers need to stay home.
Gotcha.
That was the last thing that I had seen. To me, I'm like, why would you go out at this point? For any reason, unless our dog has cancer, he needs his treatment, and we're going on Monday. The vet has all their protocols. Only one of us is going. We're kind of like astronauts. Like when my husband comes home, like in the basement, I have a new set of clothes for him. He strips his clothes. We're just doing all the things, all the precautions. But in my mind, to me, it actually doesn't matter what the rest of the world is doing right now because we're doing the self quarantine. Mm-hmm. As it's been recommended almost a week ago. Why not, if we're able to? And we are lucky that I'm able to continue working online, and he's a mountain guide, so he's canceling all his clients. So he's like, listen, I'm going to take over all the housework that you've done. We had actually had a come to Jesus kind of conversation around housework and gender roles and all these things that like I've been doing while he travels a lot in order to make our house work so that I can keep trying to make money online. And you know, Vinny, what you said about like, how can I turn all the things that I do into an online virtual service? You know, I think that's something that a lot of musicians are thinking about, and not waiting for the next move and just assume, okay, we're here. My opinion is that the general public is going to get bored really fast if they're not already. And the first thing that went in terms of non-essentials, like no longer working, is arts. But I think the first thing that the general public is turning to is arts. And I think that these live streams, Facebook is now paying for live streams. Bandcamp waived their fees for selling. I think on Friday, I don't know if they're continuing that. Stage It is now giving artists 80% instead of the standard. Stage It is a platform to do live shows that's a little more interactive than Facebook Live, because you can accept tips, and the chat is a little bit more used. It's very much just for a live stage platform that you can do from home. I used it 5 years ago. I did a whole summer Sunday Stage It thing, and they're doing really great stuff with their artists. And I think that those platforms are where people are going to start to turn to when they start to get bored at night, when they've watched all the things on Netflix, when they've done all the things throughout the day and the weather is bad. Like we're expecting a snowstorm here tomorrow. And, so it's kind of like, I think people are turning to art, not just movies and TV, although we have to look at movies and TV as arts, because that is where people are turning, but also live music. And I think there are ways to monetize that. I think there are ways that your fans can support you, especially if you're being great with email, not sending newsletters, but actually sending interactions. Death to the newsletter. If you know me, then that's the end. We don't use that word. But just really being human with them and being really clear on what you need. And if it is money, like here's a way to ask for it. If it's just like, okay, now's the time to grow Spotify, or let's take advantage of Bandcamp waiving all of their fees. Like, hey, fans, like we can do that. So I think getting really clear, and this is what I'm doing as a career coach and with my group, is saying this is an opportunity for us to level up while everyone is waiting. Artists, I'm talking to you artists, you creator, you person that normally is creating out there and getting FaceTime, like you can do this online, and it's not that hard of a switch over if you have some things set up. So I'm like the optimist doomsdayer. I'm like, okay, shut in, and what else? Like I'm the and, like I like to get into that, like let's now move like this. Yes, rest and rejuvenate. And I love all the people that are like, this is a time to rest and see yourself and finally see all your shadows and get back. And like, I'm a mindfulness person. Like I've been on my 2-year meditation journey. Like I can talk about all that till the cows come home. But also for anyone that's ever said, I don't have enough time, this is not your time to rest. This is your time to effing move. I don't know if we're allowed to swear.
Do whatever you'd like.
Not allowed
please
to swear.
do. Yes.
Please do, or please don't.
Oh, please do. I don't care.
It's your time to fucking move it.
Yes.
Like move your ass, get in gear, get a support system. And like, it's time to like do the things that you've wanted to do or that you've known to do. And it's also time to create us many, and there's so many different ways to do this. Passive income meaning money you make while you sleep. Like you set something up. I mean, Spotify royalties, licensing royalties, like all of that is passive income. Like if you are good at teaching guitar if you've taught your guitar to your friend, like you can create online courses where you're teaching some basic songs, or just creating a little community of people that pay $5 a month to get your guitar. Like you could create anything that you're good at. You can teach it. People are the online course industry has been growing. It's been like growing from a multi-million to multi-billion-dollar industry over the past 2 years, like in amazing ways, because people are like, oh, I don't need to go to college and pay tens of thousands of dollars for this. I can pay $1,000 and get this skill and then be really good at it. And then that's going to increase my own income. Or I can pay $100. Like there's so many platforms now. So I think this is an opportunity for creative people if we can get out of our heads and stop waiting like everyone else is waiting.
Right. I liked what you said about, the mass population is going to get bored really quickly. They're going to run out of things to watch. I think the reason that Zoom and other platforms like that are kind of thriving right now is because people want that actual interaction. Yeah, it's cool to watch a bunch of Netflix shows, but there's no interaction there. It's just one way. So having this where you can talk to somebody or jumping into a random person on a live, even if they're like cooking dinner or something, is still I thing that we need as humans. So it's just cool to see how people are kind of reacting to it and using it in their own way. And I know, Vinny, I'd love for you to talk about what you've done to switch your live events to the cover requests. You want to talk about that and how that was kind of a success for you because it interacted with what you would normally do at live events?
Yeah, 100%. Basically, what I wanted to do is a lot of people are doing these live streams and kind of taking donations, but I wanted to structure it a little bit more serious than that and kind of open up direct transactions. So I made it as simple as throwing my Venmo out there and saying, send me a Venmo of $5, a song request of the artist, and whatever approach you want me to take. So like, let's say you wanted me to do Baby Got Back in the style of Bob Marley, but with like an up tempo. So,
oh my God.
Yeah.
Can you do that now? I'm sorry. That's like, sounds amazing. Like,
Yeah,
I kind of want to see it. Sorry, carry on.
I'm sure I can make it up right now. But for some of them, like I did an Ed Sheeran song that was pretty difficult to finger pick, and it's a waltz and etc. So I had to take like some serious time to record it. So what I did is these $5 covers have really turned into people sending me $20, $25, $30 per cover because they understand that I'm not asking for much, but because I'm not asking for much, they're being much more generous than I ever thought that they would be. And it's kind of created, I not only have this structure that I needed, but I also am continuing to monetize cover music the same way that I did whenever I played cover gigs full time. Not at the same price point by any means, but under the quarantine circumstances, I'm making a lot more money than most people and still building equity, building content and fanship that will far outlast this quarantine. And that's why I'm doing it at a quality level that I can be proud of long term. I'm not just doing a live stream that's going to come and go. I'm making episodic content so that hopefully when all the smoke clears, I've got now 30 to 40 new clips online of a high caliber of certain covers that people are connected to, that they personally shared, that I included a personal message to them, and use that to build a fan base, build subscriptions. In fact, I'm really just mimicking my favorite artist of all time's projection, which is named Ernie Halter. He did house shows like Cheryl did, and he did a cover request series on YouTube that built up his fanship for his original music to where publishing deals, licensing deals, and incredible, countrywide and European tours came after that. So I've modeled my career and a lot of what I'm doing after my idol that got me started with this whole thing. And it's working, and it's crazy to see that I'm at that point now.
It's awesome.
So it's a little different than what a lot of people are doing, but no matter what people do, you have to try to come up with something original that you can bring to the table. I've seen some really interesting stuff. Everything from someone taking climber boots on and shredding a patriotic tune at the top of a flagpole, just up there shredding with an amp on there. Mix in some other sort of special sauce that you got in your life, even if it doesn't seem musical. And do something a little different than the guy next door, because every musician is going to be, sounding the alarm for this online engagement. And you got to do it with some pride. You got to bring the incentive, bring the value. I see too many people just asking for handouts without providing something that's original or really providing a structured, valuable type of content for their people. So figure out what that is to you. I'm also offering like custom songwriting for people. So if they want to collaborate on something, but they're not even a traditional musician, I'm going to assist with that process. You give me your story, you give me the sort of songs and music you like, I'll crank one out for you in a week. That's an option too. So really trying to take what charm I try to exude on stage and incorporating that with structure online. That's what I'm focusing on. And I'm also really giving people a call to action to focus on little interactions that don't seem valuable usually, like building metrics, building testimonials, redirecting people to my LinkedIn to get recommendations at a deeper level. Like you say all the time to our clients, go deeper, not wider. I'm working on getting more connections with people. If they're on my newsletter or my email list, we don't want to say newsletter. If they're on my email list, I want to also convert them on my YouTube subscriptions and vice versa. And if they're on both of those, then I want to point them at Facebook, because then you basically take your chance of an algorithm not being able to have them organically see your content. You throw that out the window, because you're going to snag them on one of 5 places that they're connected to you, let alone your email letter is 100% conversion. So that's the ultimate goal, convert all these fans to a mailing list, because that's got the most intimate direct connection, or as you've had a lot of success with, text marketing. So I guess going deeper with these connections, getting more hooks into the fans and giving more opportunities to connect in a time where we feel disconnected. That's what I'm focusing on as an artist. As a booking agent, what I'm really focused on is prepping my artists the same way, and encouraging them to take their experience online, diversifying, being more vulnerable and honest with their people, with their fans, with their friends, and encouraging them to do the same. Reinforce look at the Swiss cheese sized holes in your career at a whole level, and think about what you can do on a daily basis. Diversifying according to the day is a great idea, Cheryl, and I really like that. Especially artists, adding an artistic feeling and adding some fun changes to your day to day. We need that. So I like your structure there too.
I love, can I jump in, Evan?
Absolutely.
I just really love 2 things in particular that you said. Is one is like, you're connecting with your email list, and you're connecting with all these places, and you can send them all to one place, which is your email list. And because I'm the email dork, I have to commend that you said that, and I love that. The other thing is that the cool thing about email is, like, there's an actual metric that's been proven across industries. So not just like people that sell mattresses, but also the music industry, and also people that sell whatever. If you want to look at, am I engaging with my email list in the right way? There's a metric that you can tell, which is, on average over the year, you're making between $1 and $2 per subscriber per month. So if you have 1,000 subscribers, you'd be making $1,000 a month at a minimum. That might mean that you do a Kickstarter for the month of June and you make $12,000 that Kickstarter, and then the rest of the months you're just getting a couple merch things. But at the end of the year, when you look back, you're making $1 to $2 per subscriber per month. And if you're not, then you're sitting on a little gold mine, a little pot of gold that you're not monetizing. And it's not hard to shift over. It's a big part of that is welcoming them the correct way. If you're giving them a free download, how do you send those first 4 welcome emails? Those 4 welcome emails are going to be the top open rate. You'll get the most opens, and most people are reading those. And so that's your opportunity to really set them up for what the experience is going to be like to be engaging with you. And you just want to give them value, which brings me to the second thing that I wanted to commend Vinnie for saying, which is knowing, not just like making sure that you're giving value, but just knowing that your music is valuable. I think musicians get really wonky asking for money or because it occurs as help, or even when you're pitching to like a Spotify playlist, you're like, how am I valuable for them? They're just helping me get my music heard. Other people are not helping you. It's an interaction. It's a 2-way street where they're getting value or content or entertainment in exchange for whatever, money being added to a playlist. So if you can just shift the mindset of,
it is noble. It's noble.
It is. And I think that it's very hard to see ourselves as an opportunity for someone else, or see our music as valuable in that way. But if you look at every transaction that you're requesting, whether it's, trying to get on a blog, a feature on a blog, or asking your fans to shoot you $20 for, and by the way, the pay what you want with a minimum of whatever, it works on Bandcamp. The average will always be higher than the actual price of the thing. So if there's a pay what you want option, like on Bandcamp or like what you're suggesting on Venmo, always do that. People will, on average, always pay more than what they're asked of. And you're going to come out. That's just a side tangent that's been proven. Yeah, you are valuable. And if you can see yourself as an opportunity and come from that, it's not going to land for the other people as desperate or we just need to help or whatever. But there are people out there that are doing that. I've seen a lot of posts being like, hey, pay your house cleaners if you can for the next 2 visits that they're not going to come for. If you can, like a client of my husband's who's a rock just bought 4 days of guiding with my husband, even though that's for whenever, that never expire. Like people are some of your fans are actually financially able to support you. You just have to be really clear on what that looks like. And if you're not clear, they're not going to be clear.
And giving one thing that I've seen that really seems to drive the conversions and build a real relationship is there are some artists that show their emotions a little too impulsively, and they're like angry about the situation, or maybe I see some people on Instagram posting videos of them crying about the situation. Okay, let's be brand aware, let's be PR aware a little bit about our public reactions. But what I am saying is that when people are very honest about, hey, I just had all of my income drop out from under me indefinitely. I don't qualify for unemployment. I don't qualify for this. I got a family and I am best at music. I want to earn your attention and hopefully keep some money flowing for my family. Those people are being supported incredibly well. And I think a lot of the people that aren't really getting any help and are probably depressed and feeling bad about themselves are the ones that simply haven't given an honest call to action. You cannot get the sale unless you actually make the call to action. You actually ask for the sale. And I mean, I was selling women's shoes by the time I was 15, and that was the whole thing. You have to push the sale. And if you don't sell 3 things when they came in looking for 1, you didn't do a good enough job. And it's kind of the same way with this. While you have their attention, and yes, you do have their attention, say, hey, I need 3 things from you. Don't be afraid to up the ante. Don't just say, hey, I want you here. Say, subscribe to this. I'm doing this and this. The rule of 3, I think you should be offering 3 offerings every call to action, personally. But
I would completely 100,000% combat that, because people are confused on what to do. Every email, any interaction, any social post should have 1 call to action. You can make multiple calls to action. 1 email, this is like across the marketing world proven, like your email should have 1 button several times, at least 4 times throughout. It should have 1 link. So I just want to like make sure that that's a fact.
And with that same idea, that one point of entry, let's say into the funnel or to a landing page where you have diversified options, just focusing, I completely understand what you mean. Focusing the entry point on 1 singular place and then diversifying beyond that.
Totally.
Is how I think you're absolutely right.
Totally. And it's okay to send a couple different emails like, hey, today I want you guys to listen to my Luminary album on repeat while you sleep. Like, that's going to make a difference for me. Here's the link. And also, this is the story behind this record. Here's the link again. Same link. The only link in the email is that. And then, 3 days later, I'm like, thank you for everyone that's been listening. Do you know that Bandcamp's doing this thing? You can buy the record here. New call to action. Buy the record on Bandcamp. Like, it's totally fine to have multiple calls to action, but in 1 interaction, 1 social post, 1 email, like focus and align what you're sending out to your fans over email with your social posts. So they're seeing it takes someone 7 to 19 times to see 1 thing in order to click on it, which is such a bummer because we're just inundated with content. So it's okay to like post it, like send the email and post it on Instagram and make a Facebook story and then do an Instagram live and then do the TikTok thing, which I just joined and I'm like, what am I doing? And all of the things in 1 day, so I'm a big fan of like being clear on what you want. Ask as many things as you want, but within each interaction, just make it really clear that they only have 1 job to do. Because if you give them multiple options, some people are like, well, what's the cheapest? What's going to take the least time? I can't be bothered. And then they're on to the next thing. That's what happens. That's why I hate the newsletter, because newsletters tend to be multiple calls to action and like squirrel, shiny object. Like, people don't know what to do and then they do nothing.
Or there's no call to action and the newsletter is just like, hey, I'm a band. Here's all my stuff. And then people are like, oh, what did I get into? Like, having a clear, I like that you don't call it a newsletter, but I'm still calling it a newsletter for some reason.
That's
but
fine.
having a clear, like what you said, bring that value instead of just saying, hey, I'm a band, here's where you can find me. Like, everybody knows that
that's
you
a
can
command.
find your music. Exactly.
Yeah, I love it. You might as well have said, come back in my house. Like, linguistically, semantically, that like, check out my music is a command. Mm-hmm. People don't respond to being told what to do. So you want to phrase everything. I get into this in my pitching course, but you want to phrase everything as a yes or no question that someone can yes, no answer to. So instead of check this out, would you go to this page today by the end of the day and respond and let me know what you think? Would you do this? Would you? And would is better than could, because here's another, this is me being really effing dorky, but the sound is actually a really hard consonant sound, and it feels aggressive. When you say would, it's a soft consonant sound. So, this is for anyone also that's like living with someone. Would you mind changing the toilet paper or replacing the toilet paper when you run out with it? Could you replace the toilet paper? It's just like a different kind of linguistic semantics thing going on here. So ask
Interesting.
your fans.
A lot of my favorite words end in, so that makes sense. Let's focus on one thing that we didn't touch on the facts section are some local facts that we put together, just according to who is saying what, because there's so much information going out there that it doesn't seem like a lot of people know at large what's happening. So this is what we absolutely know, and I'm not a politician, I'm not an expert, but I'm just going from the official websites. For example, the official website of the CDC is recommending self-isolation, all events of 50 people or more globally for the next 8 weeks, recommend not to happen. That's at a global level. And that number at a local level, according to the President of the United States, should be less than 10. Now, beyond that, most of the decisions on the level of self-isolation, lockdown, quarantine, etc., that is being determined by the states right now. I don't think that's going to hold up. I think that a federal creed is going to come down, and that's going to make all of the governors react very similar to the ways that California and all the hotspots have reacted. I might be wrong. Once again, not an expert. But the President of the United States has mentioned a stimulus package for those out of work. From what I understand, the only way that a stimulus of this scale is going to work is going to be halting all rent and mortgage payments, and then a minimum amount check sent to every American with varying amounts based on dependence. But here's the issue. All of these laws are not really set in stone. What we do in this pandemic culture is not set in stone. And a lot of laws are being made locally, which would criminalize going against recommended health protocols. So for example, right now, local governments are telling businesses to close down for 30 days. But technically, there isn't a law in place yet that can penalize them for doing so. But there are local laws at a state level going into place that would enact that. Once again, I believe that a federal level law will be determined in the next few days, because every state, you look at what Texas wants to do in this situation compared to what Washington State wants to do. Those are very wildly different cultures and local governments. And I don't foresee local government being in charge of this, to be quite honest. I think that that's why the National Guard is mobilizing and placing their test centers all over the place, because there's going to have to be some federal level intervention. But that is something to look out for, is what local bills are being passed that would criminalize things like breaking curfew, continuing to have underground events, because I know a lot of y'all are still trying to have spring break and partying. All the beaches in Florida are closed down. And people are still trying to do the speakeasy thing, the underground raves, trying to make festival meetups still happen. We at Artists Collective firmly believe you should not be doing that. But if you continue to do that and pursue that, be very aware that brand new laws are coming in every day that are going to criminalize those events at a scary level. And this is a fact. In Florida, what they were pushing for was a felony charge and up to a year in prison. Now, that could be after the fact. That could be if you didn't follow the rules when they came out today, or it could be enacted when the bill goes into place. Once again, pandemic culture, we don't know what that's going to look like. But if I can say anything from just a perspective of how radically things were shut down with no plan in place, they're not concerned with the restaurant industry. They're not concerned with the clubs and the nightclubs. We are an afterthought. We are absolutely not looked at as a necessity or a priority in this situation. And that's just from how things were, the lights were shut off and with no plan in place and nobody saying, hey, we got your back. So if history of the last week has shown us anything, I would say that we're going to have to unify amongst our own artistic communities and rebuild our creative economies one brick at a time. And that's me diving more into opinion. But those here are some of what scientists are saying about the doubling rate.
Can I jump in for one quick second? Just confirm that I know Artist Collective is like super, like, do not have the underground things. It's not worth it. I would just ask anyone that is considering to still go out and do the social thing and whatever, just ask yourself why. Like, what's the desperation behind that you're avoiding all of this science, all of the, like, is it because you need that connection with people? In which case I'd say, okay, look for alternatives. And like, we're here, the three of us are here right now offering them to you. So just ask yourself why. Like, what's behind the ignoring the stuff that's being said? Like, why not just play it safe is my question. So I just wanted to pipe
in. For those in the punk rocker scene, we know your answer. You're punk. We get it. But even punks got to stay home and follow the rules for a little while here. I'm having trouble doing it. Trust me. I'm anti-authority through and through, but I'm actually self-isolating. I'm not planning on playing any events privately. I'm not going to participate in any speakeasy type stuff, at least for the next couple weeks.
Yeah, because there's a whole lot of speakeasy options for you there in Florida, isn't there?
Right. I mean, the only people I know are bartenders and servers and musicians and artists. True. Everybody out of work, desperately seeking to unify and still monetize each other and their crafts. And I don't blame them for that, because there has been, I feel like the rug has been pulled out from under me as a whole, and there is no future in sight where the government's going to help me out. I can't get unemployment. I can't get any of this stuff. So I'm looking at my local creative economy and my local community of artists and service industry people and restaurant owners, first and foremost, to unify with them, because we were the first ones cut loose and thrown in the garbage from how I feel. And I got a pretty aggressive stance on it, but I'm a survivor, and I've been a full-time musician for 10 years. And then the only way that I've done that is by getting ahead of these trends and preparing for the worst and hoping for the best. And if you aren't taking it serious enough yet, a couple resources I would recommend that are very accessible. Number one is Joe Rogan Experience number 1439, the Michael Osterholm. He's a pandemic specialist, talking about how this gets transferred, what our projected numbers are, and basically telling people to take this extremely serious as a human pandemic and a serious ordeal. The CDC website, look at your local government. Governors are really starting to be the spokespeople for their local and state governments. And then if you want to do a little bit of back research, really research what the coronavirus series of viruses are, why they're so serious, how they can mutate, why they mutate. And another good resource that really was wild is Bill Gates, who just stepped off as CEO of both of his major companies to focus only on charitable things, which he sees the writing on the wall. He had a TED Talk 4 years ago about pandemics and what pandemic culture we can look forward to. And now he's focusing all of his efforts to fight that completely away from corporate business. So those are a few resources that can show you how serious this is.
No, for sure. I just got a message from, I don't have your full name here, I'm sorry. It just says CM in the Q&A through this panel. You can see the screen, right? It says advocacy at the top. Looks like it's to fill out an application for a relief fund for independent music makers, freelancers, and people self-employed. So I'm going to share this somehow in this chat for you guys to check out, maybe fill out. This might be a cool resource. I really appreciate it, CM, for Chrissy McCree, for sharing this piece of cool advice.
Things, I've seen a lot of people organizing these things. There's even some local Chicago promoters that are trying to organize funds and like that, things like this. A lot of these people creating these platforms have fantastic intentions, but beware of people just trying to scrape your information. There are going to be a lot of people that profiteer off this dilemma and try to build up their mailing list with promising things that they're not necessarily promising. Like Grammy.com, that's a pretty legitimate source. Think about the legitimacy of who you're giving your information out to. Do not, unless it's a government-funded government site.gov, do not be handing out your social security numbers to anybody. Really be aware of this. I'm telling you, you'd be amazed how many artists get their identity stolen in times like this. Or just, I've known it happening when people thought they were signing up to apply for a festival or for a showcase, and they got their identity damn near stolen. So be very aware that people are going to try to take advantage of this. There are hackers that got no care about what's going on with you, and there are going to be some people that try to take advantage of this situation and your situation.
Right. Yeah. Good tip. Cool. I'd like to move forward because I got a couple people raising their hand. Looks like we might have some questions. I'll bring some people in. We can kind of extend the conversation. Cheryl, for you, what kind of isolation tips? Because you said you're kind of used to it. So am I. I have a home office, so it really hasn't changed a lot for me. But there are some artists, who live on that social aspect and going to bars and restaurants and events. So what kind of isolation tips and self-care tips have you been giving your clients?
Yeah, I think the self-care, there are two things. One is to actually take some time to be okay. A lot of people are spending more times with themselves than they normally do. So that can feel a little icky because we start to see the shadows that show up that we've either been pushing down or we ignore because we've been, quote, busy. Busy work is a great thing to hide behind. So just sort of let yourself feel that stuff. I'm a big fan of, I used to have monthly panic attacks for about 10 years that looked like food poisoning for me. So it was like kind of a big deal. Like it would take 3 days to recover. And 2 years ago, I started meditating just 5 minutes a day. I use this app, Simple Habit. And I ended up 2 months in, I had my last panic attack. I haven't had one in 2 years. And today was day 656 of meditating. And now I actually work with that app and I do meditations and stuff for them. So if you can sit for 5 minutes and just say, okay, I feel anxious or I feel sad or I feel lonely, and then just say, and I love that. I see that feeling and it's okay that I have this feeling. So I would really, if you can put in some sort of morning routine that allows you to just see yourself and not need the world to see you. That's something that we do as musicians. We need to be seen. Girl, we need to be seen. So if you can be the source of seeing yourself, a lot of that anxiety and that desperation and that need can actually get quelled a little bit. Yeah. So that's the first thing I would say. And then the second thing I say just sort of throughout the day is get a structure. Join my daily mastermind. Now it's a monthly mastermind turned daily, but do something like that where you have reasons to work. You have a plan. Okay, today I'm tackling this. So at the end of the day, you're better off than when you started the day. That's sort of my goal for all these musicians that I'm working with in the Key Elite. So if you can create a structure, if you can create a little bit of routine for yourself, maybe put in your calendar so just you get an alert, eat lunch, eat dinner, take 5 minutes to meditate, go for a 5-minute walk if you're able to get out and not be surrounded by people. I would put those two things into place, is get that structure of support and get a little bit of self-reflection routine going so that all those shadows that are going to start to come up a little bit, you can actually see them and love on them. And it's okay that you have these things that are part of you.
So meditate 5 minutes, create some structure. I love that. Even if it's just putting something in your calendar, writing something on a whiteboard and following up.
Yeah. I'll share the app.
Okay, cool.
They're now all their meditations are free. It's a total free app. So I'll just share the app that I've been using. And they have a ton of 5-minute ones. You can also search my name and listen to my stuff.
Awesome. I didn't know that you did that type of work.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was using side tangent. I was using them and I was on day 450 when I was in this residency writing this new record. And because of the time change or something, I turned my phone off and they reset. I was at 450 days and it went down to 0. So I just reached out to their tech support. I'm I know it's not a big deal, but it's kind of cool that I've been at 450 days. Can we reset it? They're yeah, no problem. Where did you go that? And I was I'm in Greece. I'm actually at a composer residency. I'm writing music for mindfulness. And they're oh, no way. You should send it to us. And then boom, I'm on their app now. They're oh, you should do some affirmations or something. And I was like, I have some positive I am affirmations. So each track now has these positive I am, positive affirmations around releasing negativity or attracting abundance. So I created those. They're on my website. They're on Insight Timer. They're on a bunch of big apps now. So now, and I love doing it, and it's really easy for me to do because I do it for myself. So I'm like, oh, I just record my thoughts and get paid for it. So that's sort of a fun random thing. But this is the app that I really love, and it's really easy to use, and it's really great for people that are not meditators, which I was not. Like, I cannot sit still for 5 minutes. Like, that's not a thing that's possible. So they made this possible for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What kind of things are you doing, Vinny? I know you're staying busy with things, but how has the isolation been treating you, and what are you telling your clients?
I'm telling my clients right now to basically prepare for at least 30 days of being in their crib. I really firmly believe that, yes, we can take measures on the day-to-day just to start engaging online and focusing on that. But I would much more so focus on the long term. Obviously, you keep chugging through the day, you stay productive, but focus on your big picture issues, which in my opinion is this. The new culture that we're going to be living in past this point, past this outbreak, it is going to be a different entertainment industry. So stock up on what you'll need for, basic necessities, food. Make sure your finances are secure. That you paused all of your bills, I guess we'll get into financial measures later on. So isolation tip as a musician, kind of honing in on that. My $5 covers series is keeping me sane, keeping me busy. It's giving me structure. I've got 14 songs lined up that people have requested. And it's keeping me connected with people. It's keeping music a monetized part of my life. It makes me still feel like I'm a musician, even though the future is so unsure about when I'll get to be in front of a crowd again. And so staying connected to your instrument, staying connected to your art. Do not go a day without making music. Do not do it. The way that you said a screen day, never do that with your music. Keep it going, keep your momentum, and use your music to keep your spirits up and to stay connected with other people. And in the same way that Cheryl said, it is a noble act to put out content right now more than ever. I think of the musicians on the Titanic. Every time I think of this, they decided that their duty to calm people into the next level of their existence or non-existence, and their need to share their talent and connect with people and be of service to people was larger than their need for self-preservation. And I feel called to music to that degree. And I plan on being that martyr if it comes to it. So I'm going to keep creating music like it's medicine. And I'm going to keep providing connection because I need it. It is medicine for me. And we need to replace our normal social interaction and our normal business interactions with online interactions and interactions that can keep people healthy and keep people sane in this new distanced world. So I'm trying to recreate and prepare for a new world that might look like this for a long time. And even if it doesn't look like this 100%, the reality is that the virtual engagement is now 3, 4, 5 times more important, and that is never going to go away from this day forward. Our virtual outreach is going to be the majority of our outreach and the majority of our connection.
Right.
So I'm telling people to prepare for a new world that looks like that. And I'm doing the same for myself.
Great. Can you see the screenshot here? Did that come up?
Yeah.
Of the musicians on the Titanic. I love that you say that. I saw that meme the other day and it really was perfect. I'd like to share what I'm telling my clients. I'm instructing them to double down on their fan engagement. And by that, I mean, not just commenting, but like really, sliding in the DMs, having a real conversation with people. I've been doing this new thing where every single follower I get, I respond in their DMs with an actual video where I'm saying their name and I check out their music, and I, it's not fake. It's actually like, hey, I checked out your page too. How can I help? And the response has been really great. So if you can imagine if every musician could do something like that in this time that everybody's being isolated. I read somewhere recently that the 3 core human desires are to be seen, to be heard, and to be loved for who they really are. So if you can kind of reverse engineer that in your like social media and like really reach out to these people, to these fans that could be super fans that, might buy a ticket when all of the smoke settles, as you put it, or it might, stream your music, just instead of going straight for like what Cheryl said, that sale, hey, stream my music, like instead that, like really have a deep conversation and like try to get to know these fans. That's kind of what I've been instructing in this time of isolation, kind of using that isolation because you have time to do that, and the fans on the other end are kind of just sitting on the couch not doing much anyway, so it's a good experience all around, I think. Well, cool. Well, I'm going to go ahead and open up the Q&A. If anybody, got a few people in the chat bringing a few things up. Somebody, oh yeah, you responded to the 3 C's question. I didn't know if you wanted somebody wanted to hear the C's again.
Yeah, I have a PDF. You can download it in the key.co/elite if you want to like get the world of it. It's clear on the first day, create on the second day, collect knowledge context on the third day, campaign, so actually pitch on the fourth day, and then connect to different communities, different individuals on the 5th day, and then rest all day long on Saturday and Sunday.
And rest, that doesn't start with C.
It doesn't, but it's not part of the week. But now I'm realizing that maybe I should have
chill
all day, Saturday and Sunday. Chill.
I love that. Cool. Does anybody have a specific question? I can give you access to jump on audio or video. You want to come join the combo? I would love more heads popping up here. Let me know. I think there's a button to like raise your hand, and I'll bring you in. You can chat with us. I'd love to hear like what other artists are doing during this time. Hear from some of you before we wrap up. But yeah. Kaylee Smith says, what's the best way to do online piano lessons?
I would say Zoom. I would highly recommend signing up for Zoom and also looking at your social media platforms as a viable option of how to communicate with people. But the key is this: you have to make sure that, like Cheryl mentioned earlier, there are multiple audio options that you can have there, because there are going to be some times that you need to mute yourself or mute them, or maybe you want to show an audio clip or do a screen share with them of sheet music. I would highly recommend Zoom, but there are other options to do it direct through IG chat, Facebook Messenger video chat. Sometimes you can screen share there, but Zoom is fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, and for you two responding in this chat, it looks like you have it set to only go to the panelists. If you switch here to say panelists and attendees, that way they'll get the chat too.
Oh.
Just so you know. I don't know why that it's by default. They leave it at all panelists, and I always have to remember to do that. I'm
gonna like just give all of my.
There you go.
So the meditation app I've been using for 659 days is in the key.co/habit. That's a short link too. It's called Simple Habit. It's not called 659 days. That's just the number of days I've been using it.
Okay.
And I also just posted something about, I didn't realize you were, Take Lessons is a site that I used to use when I was teaching lessons. And it's a great place. You should sign up. People just go there to find teachers in their area. So you'll get clients that you don't have to go go do all this promo for. You'll just get clients. You can set your own prices, and they have a lot of resources as well on how to do that virtually. I've heard Teachable is pretty good as well. Teachable is for online courses, not for live lessons. You're not able to do to kind of hack the system a little bit and do piano lessons or something? You can. Teachable, Thinkific, Kajabi are 3 sites that do those. You can do those online lessons or create online courses. Kajabi is my favorite. I've actually used all three of them, and Kajabi is I'm writing it out here. Kajabi. It's really great because you can bring people into your email list and create really easy, awesome looking landing pages. So that's something that I use. And if you have clients, you can also use them through Take Lessons or just use Zoom. But yeah, good that you have clients. Good for you.
One thing I'm seeing in the chat as well is that they said that the camera on the student's end has to be pointing at their fingers, and they're usually children, so they don't know how to do it. One thing I would recommend for that is that you should set yourself up either an email template or a PDF, an interactive PDF that is an onboarding PDF. And in that PDF, you should tell people what to expect, how they're going to set the expectation of how they're going to need to set up the webcam to make it a productive session. And then as kind of a deep dive, if you want, you could put an affiliate link to a tripod webcam type situation to where you could be getting an affiliate cut of a tripod package that you recommend. And I mean, there are $10 tripods out there, and you know, you can even go to Dollar Tree and get little cell phone tripods now, to where if they are interested in learning, that should be an easy setup. And maybe you can even make an affiliate referral sort of fee just for making that sale, or buy some yourself. Maybe find a discounted rate of 10 and take that hustling on yourself. That's what a lot of guitar shops do. They sell the guitar and the lessons. So you could be selling some products as well as, you know, selling your lessons. So I don't know how much you want to diversify, but that's what I would do.
Yeah. I would also have them set up Zoom on a computer if their parents have a laptop, because you can just, you know, the keyboard could literally be right here and you can totally see my fingers. So a laptop is way easier than a phone. So if they can set up Zoom on their laptop, you'd be better off than if they were trying to do it on a phone. You can just angle the computer angle if they have it on a table that's about the piano height.
Or like a separate webcam that you can kind of manipulate too.
Yeah.
Cool.
Right.
Carmen asked, what tactics would we recommend to collect emails during this self-quarantine?
Oh, you need to be signed up with an email program. My Kajabi link is my favorite. I've used MailChimp, MailerLite, Infusionsoft. There's a ton of them. You just learn one of them. Just become a master at your email list. I can also give you a free PDF if do you mind, Evan, that I'm posting like all these links?
No, well, I'll probably grab the tools and include them later in the replay that we have for the membership. So yeah, absolutely. That's okay with you.
Cool. Yeah, I have a free PDF that sort of gets you started with like where you should even start thinking and like which ones are best. If you want to dig in and like learn more, I have an hour-long training that's free. I'll just put that link there too. But you guys, it is so important to become a master of your email list. Like become a master of your calendar and become a master of your email list. If you master those two things, you will have your productivity go way up, your engagement way up, and honestly, your income and passive income way up. Those are like the two things that I cannot stress to get your head wrapped around more in this day and age right now is your own calendar and your workflow and how you work and get to know yourself and your email list. So I'll give you this email training here. I think it's in the key.co/email training. It's I run them every Tuesday night, 8:00 Eastern time. You will get the playback if you can't watch at that time. And then there's a ton of follow-up emails with a lot of good content in there. I also have a full course on it, and I'm about to get yourself on my email because I'm about to give like a stupid deep discount for the course, just so that more musicians can actually use these tools, which are really important.
For sure. I think that's one of the least used, I guess, systems for musicians. They don't want to mess with email lists, and it's still one of the best ways to market anything. Email is. Totally. It's just like a no-brainer, but
it's not sexy. It's not sexy.
Yeah, it's true.
It's like not just fun. No one's passionate about it. We do things that we're passionate about. Like never have you ever heard someone say, "Oh, I wish I could have that affair. I just can't find the time. I simply can't find the time." Like, it's not true. We do what we're passionate about. So if you can somehow flip the switch on like, email is such a pain. It stresses me out. I don't want to do it, to, oh my God, this is my source of income. This is my source of engaging with my fans, loving on the people that have already come into my world rather than like desperately trying to find more people out there. Mm-hmm. Like get passionate about it somehow. You're going to find time to do it and just do it.
And even if your email list consists of 5 people, I've seen it on both ends where artists don't want to send anything because there's not enough, and then they don't want to send any because they have a lot and they're afraid of the unsubscribe button, and it's just like, yo, you've got to just send some things and make it happen. I'm gonna bring somebody in to talk real fast.
One moment before we do that, I'd like to contribute to the answer of this as well. The mailing list, yes, and that is typically the greatest conversion. But think of that engagement and that call to sale. It doesn't matter where it is. It doesn't matter if it's on Facebook, Instagram. Some people do convert really well on social media and in different mediums. You might be converting on TikTok, depending on how you pose your call to action. But the way that you should think about it is this, and I'm going to use The Godfather as an example. The only time that people come to The Godfather with a request is when they have a promise and an understanding that there's a transaction there, that they're giving something first before they get it. And the only time that they can go and talk to the Don is on the day of his daughter's wedding. You know, on certain moments, people are more willing to listen and people are more willing to have a transaction with you. Right now is that moment for the arts. Like Cheryl said, a lot of people are looking at the arts right now as a place that they want to support. So focus on what value can I give before I ask for anything. Because I can tell you this right now, GoFundMe is it's going to be so saturated that their system servers are going to crash. They're not going to be able to handle it. You're going to have to focus on intimate communication, be it a newsletter, a DM, a phone call, and whatever. You need to make your communication more intimate, and you need to figure out what value you can provide before you ask for anything. Focus on what you're providing from a salesman, a saleswoman perspective, and then focus in on the highest converting areas, like a mailing list.
It's salesperson.
Okay, that's easier. Yeah.
Just kidding. No, absolutely. I second that. All right, I'm going to bring Jonathan in here. I think I'm doing this right. Let's figure it out. Unmute.
Can you hear me?
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey,
how
how's
are
it going, everybody? Good. So yeah, first and foremost, like, unfortunately, I have another call to get to, but I just wanted to take the time to at least just give a special thanks to you, Cheryl and Vinny, just for getting this all set up. Man, it's just super inspiring to know that when we take the time and just listen to some of you guys, you know, there's still ways that we could still monetize, still ways to just stay focused during this time where obviously it just brings a lot of stress and anxiety. And me personally, like, I'm one of those people, right? I'm a manager. I manage one R&B artist, and I'm trying to utilize this time the most productive way that I can. So I also have a 9-to-5. So I'm really trying to take that time now. Like, all the times I say I'm too tired to do something after I get back from work. It's like, now I have no excuse. So it was nice to hear that validation that you guys mentioned that as well today. But I really just wanted to say, like, I'm super excited for the whole week. There was a lot of nuggets today, and I'm just super excited that we have this little community right now. And I really know it's going to help kind of jumpstart my brand and bring some creativity to my artists as well. And I'm already thinking of some ideas that, you know, we could implement in just like the social engagement and staying focused and prioritizing throughout every day too. So once again, I just want to say a special thank you to all you guys. This is super valuable. And I'm looking forward to the whole week. So
awesome. Thanks, Jonathan.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem.
Cool, man.
Like I said, I do have another call to get to. So you guys have a good rest of your day, and I'll tune in with everybody tomorrow too.
You too, man. We'll talk to you then.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
All right, sweet. See, it's like a real in-person panelist. You know, when they walk up to the mic and they ask a question, it's beautiful. We can do all this digitally.
People got to get used to this. I'm telling you, this is the new norm, y'all.
Yeah. Okay, I've got one over here. I don't know if you guys can see the Q&A section, or maybe it's just me. Gail, I think it's Gail Gallagher.
She's
says,
Yay.
She is great.
Yeah, hey, Gail.
So I'm in a place with learning audio production where I want to learn how to do the thing by doing the thing. What's the best way to offer an experiment with me rate that doesn't lowball my time too much or end up with too many side projects? I'm mostly thinking I connect with my sketch comedy friends who are looking for an outlet. I'll copy and paste this into the chat as well.
It's like a chicken or an egg question, right?
Yeah.
It's like, in order to get gigs, you need to have proven that you've done the gig well. So you're saying, how do I get started by doing the gigs with people that are not, that's always a hard thing, especially like composers have that problem. Like, oh, show me your reel. Well, you're my first gig. Like, you have to start somewhere. So I get that. I'm guessing that that's what the question is, if I'm rewording that.
I would say number one, the mindset needs to change, because being worried about being saturated with side projects is the same as that frat guy saying, I don't want to start lifting because I don't want to get too big. You know, like you're 9 weeks, you're 4 or 5 months away from that point. So let's not even worry about that. Let's focus on sustainably growing what projects you have based on priority and quality. So you already answered your question with your own question. Yes, lean into your talented friends that are also out of work and looking for an outlet, because those people are going to be people you can barter with. You're not even going to have to necessarily talk about dollar signs. So what I would say is think about the most talented, influential people that you would want to work with. Explain to them your desire to get knee deep in the game today, and also explain, hey, we're all in an unsure industry that just got the rug pulled out. Let's barter each other's time right now. Not only because I'm a novice, but because of a sign of the times. And let's keep creating and see if we can make something out of this.
Cool.
I'd also throw in, like, Gail, and all musicians here, when you're communicating with anyone, just start practicing being really freaking clear. Like, I want to do the thing by doing the thing. I want to use the bells and whistles. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I want to do audio production. Who is interested in what's the final results? Like, get your words related to a result that people are going to see and that's going to benefit their lives, and use those words, like use real words, like bells and whistles. You don't actually want bells and whistles in your tracks, right? So like bring it down into like reality, linguistics, and semantics. You're going to connect way more with more people. And like, this was like, I had to like pick this apart and try to figure out what you're asking. And I'm assuming that that's how you also are communicating online and in your emails to your fans. So like, just really get clear on like, what are you actually trying to say? What result do you want from this interaction? And just ask for it. Just ask for it. So I just want to put that in.
And there's a lot of ways to get to that, but this is kind of, if you are saying, I want to do the thing by doing the thing, you need to really manifest a project that speaks to you. You need to come up with something that is going to propel you forward and be something you have to bite into. So this idea of a big number of side projects, that is much less important than finding the one project that's going to light you on fire. Find that one and just focus on getting that done rather than thinking about it at large. Let's focus on quality rather than quantity.
Yeah, I like how she put the shiny object syndrome. I completely know where you're coming with that. And a lot of times you just kind of have to flush that out from doing a couple projects. And like what Vinny said, you'll start to see ones kind of fire your passion more than others, and then they kind of fall off. I mean, I'm definitely in that mindset a lot. I have all these projects to do, and once I start doing them, I'm like, this shiny one is probably the one that's gonna, be better revenue, and I'm also really passionate about it, so maybe I should focus on that one. So yeah, I agree. Just refocus. Just sometimes you just have to try a couple things and kind of weed things out.
I love the rule of 3. Think of your 3 ideal projects and then just pursue those, and as they fall away, replace them with new ideas that get you passionate about it, because it's got to be a passion-driven project if it's not a monetary driven project. You're going to have to find other people that are behind the message and what the actual content is.
Absolutely. Got one more from Carl.
I got this one.
Carl, oh, you got it? You can see it? Okay,
hardcore.
Cool.
Yeah, I just typed an answer.
Okay, great.
Yeah, licensing, you guys, has nothing to do with your fan base, unless someone in your fan base happens to be the licensing agent for, like, it's super rare. It's networking and relationships and making sure that editors and people that are in charge of actually putting music in front of clients for TV shows and commercials have your music at hand, and that you're following up with them and taking them out for drinks and coffee, and that they know you exist, so that your name and your album is on top of the pile. That's the shorthand.
And have that metadata, have all that stuff ready.
Yeah. Michael Elsner has a great course on licensing. I highly recommend it. It's not open right now. If you're on my email list, I always let my list know about when that's open. He's doing it right. He's got like, I thought I was super cool having like 40 plus placements of my songs. He's got like 2,000. So like I can shut up now and sit down and just tell people to go to him to learn about how to license and produce awesome music that is ready to be licensed. And metadata is a huge part of that for sure.
Cool. Yeah, I would love to see that link as well. Check that out. That's great. Well, cool. Well, unless there's any other questions that pop up, I'm just going to wrap up and just say thank you for Cheryl and Vinny for being here, and everybody who's tuned in here live. If you're listening to this re-recording, thank you as well. But if you want the replay and the full resources that we've talked about this whole time, I encourage you to join our free membership, or our membership for free. You can try for a month. artistcollect.com/industry chat. You can just sign up there. We'll give you the resources that we talked about. And you can also listen to snippets of it on the podcast version. You can go to anchor.fm/industry chat. It's pretty much everywhere a podcast exists. You name it, it's there. And just a little tidbit of tomorrow, day 2 is, it's funny that you started off talking about this, Cheryl, is creating passive music income. A lot of you are sitting there like, yeah, if 80% of your work was live and all of that was just kind of ripped out from under you, and you're saying, hey, how am I going to get this income? This is a great time to start to set that up for yourself, like licensing and like streaming. I will highlight our panelists for tomorrow. I've got Nate Rose. He's an independent artist. He has about 10 million streams under his belt, all independently. He's an incredibly smart human being and can kind of attack this from a artist perspective. He solely lives on passive income. He rarely plays any shows. So honestly, he's not affected by this change really at all. So it'd be cool for you guys to learn from him. Felicity Ward is also an artist manager out in LA, and she does a lot of licensing placements for her artists. And Marcus Cobb is the CEO of Jamber Music. If you haven't heard of that before, it's they have a couple different apps called Splits and Money that allows you as a songwriter to really easily, basically you can sign up your song to all of the proper organizations like your PRO, Sound Exchange, your publishing admin, all from one single app, which I've never seen before in my life. So it's really cool to kind of streamline and make that passive music income really, really easy for you. So I'm really excited to have these 3 on board tomorrow. So please come back, 12 p.m. Central Time. But again, for my panelists here today, Cheryl and Vinny, I really appreciate your time and the gems that you dropped. And that's all I got. I appreciate it.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. And just a quick thing to all the artists that are here, like, good on you for taking some time out of your day to like create community, to maybe learn something new, to be open to learning something new, and like take a big breath. Like, you've got this, you're in the right place. And there's a lot of people out there supporting you. Me, Evan, Vinny, we've all got our own things that are available to you. And so I just want to congratulate you for like taking the time to be like, pause, this is good for me for a lot of reasons. So good on you. That's all I want to say. And thanks for having me, Evan. I appreciate it. And
of course. So such an uplifting ending. I love it. Thank you. Cool. I'll see you guys later. Peace out.